Hi boys and girls. Hey, you've been working on that radio for quite a while now. You've checked all the outer tolerance resistors and replaced them as necessary, and you've replaced all those caps, and now you're ready to put power to it. And all of a sudden you start listening, and you're listening and listening, and all of a sudden that speaker just sounds terrible. Well, it looks anything like this. Okay, there's some options, and I'll explain what you can do here, so stay tuned. This is the finished radio. This is a General Electric model KM51, which is actually a Canadian-made General Electric radio, or it was either made by General Electric and imported to Canada. I'm not really sure how that worked out. Now here is ultimately was the original speaker in that radio. It was really odd because after I got this radio working, initially it didn't have a lot of volume, and it seems like the more I did some really nice tuning and stuff to it, the volume kept getting louder and louder, and I replaced a couple of tolerance resistors. It really started to wake up. And you can see this has a voice coil on it as well. Okay, and there's the connections for that. And then you can notice too that there's wires coming from that coil up to the voice coil up here. You can see the connections here. But this speaker just sounded terrible. And in a feeble attempt, what I tried to do is I took some light green fingernail polish, courtesy of Mrs. RW, tried to wake that up and silence it, but it was no help. So, as one option is I mean, you could, if you've got crazy amounts of money, you can send it out and have it redone. But then I've seen that happen in the past where there's no guarantee whether that's going to actually be a good or not. You could try to recone this yourself. I've seen some Chinese reconing kits, but I didn't really want to do that, only because of just the overall age, and I wasn't real happy. I just saw some of the this coil really should have been rewound, but I didn't want to take that on. So I figured the only thing I could probably do is just swap the speaker out. So here's what I've done. Okay, now here's the radio out of cabinet. As you can see, here's the replacement speaker that I put on. And as you can see, the cone looks a whole lot better than what I started with, And believe me, it sounds a lot better too. I should have done a before when I had the speaker still on there, but I didn't. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to show you. I'm going to lift up here so you can see the top. And this is just a regular electrodynamic speaker. And if you look over here, I've got a kind of a resistor wrapped around some wire on the back of the original mounting bracket. Now I had to do some things. I had to basically drill a hole here and basically screw, put some threads in here, tap some threads and put that on here so I can mount this on here, and then I just kind of epoxied the other side. But I also had to try to make sure that this thing was going to actually fit inside the cabinet properly and not have any interference problems or anything like that. So you could take an active voice coil speaker similar to this and put in a standard electrodynamic speaker if you follow a couple simple rules. Now, here's what you need to do. First of all, this speaker actually has two readings that you have to pay particular attention to. This reading right here is for the coil, and what you want to do is take your meter, like I had here, and I actually did a resistance reading here, and I read about 460 ohms. Now, if you get in a situation where the voice coil actually opened up, and get no reading at all, which is what usually happens. I don't think they're going to short out, but if you get an open, refer to your schematic diagram as to what the resistance reading is. Because what you need to do is that you're going to have to substitute usually a 5 to 10 ohm resistor or work fine. Usually a 5, or excuse me, let me paraphrase it, a 5 watt to 10 watt resistor of equal or close value, or maybe a little bit more. I wouldn't want to go underneath of it. And that's basically what I did here. So getting 462 ohms I think I got. I went through my junk box and I found that 7 watt 500 ohm resistor. So that's where these wires kind of come up, and these actually went to the voice coil on the old speaker. Alright. So that subs that up, and then you also have to pay attention to the actual speaker impedance itself. When I measured this with my ohm meter, I got 3.6 ohms. This particular speaker I have right here that I put on the radio, it's 3.2 ohms, which I think is going to be a close enough impedance match that it's not going to hurt anything. So here's the best part. Now that I've done all this, and I'll plug in the radio and tune it on, and you'll be able to hear it. It actually sounds very, very, very good. I ran this for a couple nights solid. This thing barely doesn't even get hot. This resistor. I put this on because I didn't know. When I put this here, I didn't know how hot I was going to get. It didn't get very, very hot at all, which was very, very nice. And I ran this for, like I said, 2 solid nights next to my bed, and it sounded great. And the best part is that I had this speaker sitting around my shop, so I didn't even have to pay anything for it. So I had the resistor, which you need, to substitute for the voice coil resistance, and then also the speaker I had. So I actually had all the parts sitting right here in the shop. Now, how does this sound? Well, why don't we just take it out for a test drive.
Or so, that's what they pegged the millennial generation as, and this is this is the generation that grew up most, I think best described as the
it actually sounds very, very nice. It's also picking up a little noise from this light. Let me turn this off.
Me of Premier, but the much more restricted. When people start saying to you, over what that reason is, sometimes we insert.
Well, in your first year pro and then playing in a division like that, I mean, there's been some ups and downs.
So I don't think this is really giving it any justice, but it does sound very, very nice now. So if you got a bum speaker, this is probably the easiest, cheapest, and most reliable route to go. I figured I'd share that with you. I figured the newbies would enjoy that. And I'll tell you something else that's really funny. Funny story, and this is the truth. The day I actually did this, that night, I got out my computer and I was watching other videos on YouTube, and I love watching other people's radio repair stuff. And the one I would kind of tickle me was Back to the Future radios as Larry, and he does a great job on his stuff. He really does, and he ironically is working on an older Philco table set, and he actually did the same mod the same day. He put his video up a heck of a lot sooner than I did, and then after I watched his video, I commented. I said, you know what, I just did the same thing to a General Electric radio. So I just wanted to share that with especially the newbie folk, or maybe some of you that are just getting back into this hobby. So options are good. So you have the options of either finding another radio that has a good speaker on it. You could send it out to try to get it repaired. You could try to recone it, and there's even no guarantee that's going to work. But this is something that is guaranteed to work. It requires a little bit of machinery work, you know, if you'd be able to drill holes and tap threads and things like that. So it's not that hard to do, and you can do it. So anyway, hey, thanks for tuning in and watching, and take care. Bye.